2018, my lady and I went on a 1 month excursion in Colombia. She was pregnant with our first. We were on an adventure, and she did a great job of planning everything out, and we kept somewhat open schedules and literally traveled the entire country for a month. It was beautiful. We got fairly used to the way that things worked in Colombia, and the movements and the people and the language and the food. It was just about at the point where it felt like we lived there. Went to Bogota, Cartagena, Salento, excuse me, uh, many, just basically the entire country. And after spending the last 10 days or so on the northern coast in a remote area on a little beach, nobody around, we end up having a last minute adventure to find a painting that we wanted to get, and then taking a flight out of Bogota, coming back to Miami. Miami was our stop into the US. When we came back to Miami, the second on the plane still felt similar to Colombia. I think it was, from my memory, mostly Colombian people in the plane. They were going to Disney World. And when we got back to the airport, the second we stepped off the plane, before we even got to customs, I want to say it was like, but it wasn't like, it was. It was the exact scenario of walking into another program. The second we got off the plane, the difference in the aura of the energy of the place that we were in, it was literally a different world. And I knew that world. I'm from Florida, so I was aware of it. But the interesting thing was I was so acutely aware of it. I didn't expect it, but I was so acutely aware of it when we walked off the plane. It was, wow, wow, this is a fake world we just walked into. And it's not that it's fake, it's just that it's absolutely a different world. And it's different in a non-visual way. That's what's tricky for a lot of folks, is that they just see trees here, trees there, buildings here, buildings there, people here, people there. And most are programmed or eventually adapt to a program of shinier, more lights, more information, better, because it's more attractive. like a moth to a flame. The second we walked off that airplane, I knew I didn't have to be told, I didn't have to think about it. I didn't even say it to anybody, probably until now. I knew we were stepping into a deeper level of Matrix filter. It just couldn't have been more obvious. And I also could perceive that vast majority of those around me were excited about it and that they could feel a little something too, but they felt that was a step closer to, say, Disney World, which it probably was. And then going through customs and then going into the general area of the airport, sitting at a little restaurant waiting to get my bag or our bags. Uh, what was unique is I felt like the real me was still in Colombia and that the body of me was here in a program that I was just putting up with. And it was a little weird that my lady and I were both going back to the town in Florida where we came from, but that it felt like we were unknowingly taking the road most traveled after taking the road less traveled. And so it felt like taking a cowboy off a horse and putting him in the passenger seat of an interstate, of a car, a taxi on the interstate. Just, I know this is how it is, but it feels different being in the seat. This isn't healthy. It's just a constant reminder this isn't healthy. This isn't healthy. This isn't the right way to be. This isn't healthy. And it doesn't have to be like that. It doesn't have to be a judgment that this isn't healthy. But for me, looking back on it, it we have these interesting moments in life that we don't necessarily put that much weight on because we're in it at that time, and then we look back on it and it's a little bit more clear. To me, it's a very obvious allegory for the level of information that creates what seeps into our unconscious to begin with. And what seeps into our unconscious, creating a solidification around what we allow to be our belief structure in this life. And that you take the exact same spirit with the exact same body and you put it in Antarctica or Central Africa or Eastern Australia or Taiwan or New Brunswick or Ecuador or Uruguay or Germany or the city of London, that individual is going to be not different. That individual is going to be programmed on their within their lower unconscious drastically differently. In which later in life, if you provide the exact same information to all of them, they will all perceive that information and only physically be able to absorb the particulates of that information based on what their belief structure is. And the information they cannot absorb, say you give them 2 pages of very intense, very dense truths that are hard to comprehend from history. Not biased on any side, just in general. And some may already know it. Some may perceive it as possible or interesting or believable. Some may perceive it as just straight up manipulation or propaganda or lies. Some may perceive it as they already know everything, and so whatever's on this paper is stupid. But it doesn't really matter why. What matters is the fact that internally we operate with filters which attempt to serve the intella part of intelligence, the learning and discerning efficiently. And the gens is the proper application of that intella with wisdom and care. So to efficiently learn and discern, we naturally build a belief structure. The issue arrives when, and on a larger perspective, there is no good and bad because it's all rhythm. But on an acute perspective of the individual's confusion within their lifetime of how operations operate and why, there are groups or fields of information that are offered that have an objective, and that information into a certain culture within a society, or society within a culture, and vice versa, depending on the place, within a collective unconscious, is receiving information, is being programmed into the individual. The individual unconsciously accepts it, and then it's also programmed to everyone else, and they're projecting that energy back out. So it seems to be perceivable as true in their life, because what you believe, you shall perceive. And so you can take that same individual and put them in all these different cultures, and as they grow, then at the age of 33, take them and put them in Geneva, Switzerland, and whatever, just under a tree. And you unbiasedly and without their prejudice sit and offer them these 40 truths on 2 pages and see their reaction. Emotional first, and then factual of their response to each bullet point list. And you will receive a different response from every single individual. But that individual was the same one to start off with. So it's the culture that's changing it. But it's not the culture itself, it's the perceived implication within the culture to adapt to the belief system of those around us so that we are not ostracized. And then further within that, we live as an entity, a spiritual embodiment, and there is an invisible energy flow of information being offered in. And there's also an energy flow of information being offered out from us and from the collective into the collective unconscious. The collective unconscious morphs through time, so it's not good or bad, but, and it's very powerful, but the information coming in from the collective unconscious into culture and society, into our township or our family, definitely through screens, in our lifetime has mostly in the more modern considered or Western or industrial worlds have created identity crisis and a separation within based on getting used to a information feed of repetition of fear, repetition of fear, repetition of fear, repetition of fear. And it's funny when you take those individuals that are used to that and you put them in a place in which they don't receive that. They want to, because it's a part of a program within them, not them within them. They want to go back to that which they're used to. They want to get back on their screen or look back at the information of the world or talk to somebody else that's in tune with the repetition of fear. They're used to it. Repetition of fear. They like it. They like it. They like it. And they convince themselves that being part of the natural world or closer to it is more dangerous than being in the safety of a repetition of fear. And that is based on frequency. You proceed to the state of your frequency. And what you believe, you shall perceive. So your belief structure is tied to your frequency. Your frequency is resonating off of what you're vibrating at, the level of which you are vibrating, or the life frequency around you is vibrating, as well as you. And then how are you resonating with the energy around you, or how are you just resonating by yourself, and what are you putting off, and what are you able to receive based on that resonance? Your belief structure will not, for the most part, unless you have an epiphany or a breakthrough, will not allow you to see if it's going to possibly cause a detrimental effect to your own psyche. And most are at the place because they live in a modern uh, perception of getting used to repetition of fear. Most are at a place where if their world changes too much, they're so dumbed down and they're so puppetized. Um, they're so far from being the leader of their own life on a spiritual level that it's not really fair for them to end up being just overnight in charge of themselves. Going through a spiritual evolution is a trying experience. You really have to go in and test all the pieces of you. It happens for everyone at the moment in which it's supposed to happen, in the manner it's supposed to happen. And it's also up to the individual how they choose to address or not address it. So, clicking that on for most folks, I don't know this, but it seems like it may have too dramatic of an effect. So they stay in the safety of the repetition of fear, which is in the modern culture, Western culture, Las Vegas lights. However, when I got off that plane from Colombia and walked into the airport without expecting it, it was clear to me that I was accepting, because it's an offer, I was accepting an inundation, and I was walking into a field of information that would be, and this is before I thought about any of this stuff, that would be bombarding my unconscious. And that it eventually would seep into me. And if you stop looking at the newspaper or your phone or the news or the weather or whatever stupid shit that anyone, you or anyone else around you, is addicted to, even though you think it's responsible, it has nothing to do with the truth of what responsibility is. It's just a thing that you serve that's your daddy now. If you stop looking at that, for 2 weeks, Just 2 weeks. If you're so strong, try it out. If you don't need it, try it out. If I'm wrong, try it out. If you stop looking at it for 2 weeks, you realize that's not good for me. I'm better without it. And most of life is, if we're talking about applying something efficiently to increase the level of your life, most of it's about letting things go, not acquiring. And most everything that is meant to be let go starts with letting something go within, and then the outside calms the waters. Once the internal friction, improper friction, is subsided, then the waters outside calm themselves. Everything begins within. Love is life. There was love in Colombia. There was love in Miami. There was love when we got home. But within that airport in Miami, because I became aware of it, I didn't really forget about it. There was more information of layers layered on top of the base of God is love and I am love and I am God. Those layers on top that were seeping in began to keep me from being able to shine the light of who I was. That's for everybody everywhere. In my opinion, that's an allegory for why people in more rural or people in more less developed countries are just a tad bit closer to being present in the moment and are a little bit easier to perceive truths, a little bit easier to communicate in natural human mechanisms. Um, I see them as being more mature, and those that are more indoctrinated into a Western digital world are, or it doesn't have to be Western, just the digital world in general. I see the irony in saying this to computer. Those that, I don't care if you're a cattleman, I don't care what or where, if you are indoctrinated in a digital world, you are not as in tune with the experience of being truly human as those that are in tune with the land and the water and the food, and most importantly, are in tune with other humans that are also not in tune with the digital world. And that is a trying experience here if you're attempting to not be tethered to that which is a deeper filter within the program than finding others that you are akin with. It may not be as easy. Easy is not always better, but it may not be as easy. You know, one of the things that when we were in Colombia, it wasn't like everybody was super turned on. It was just like everybody was normal. And we went to all the supposed dangerous spots at the time, and everybody was super gracious and cool. We went to all the wildlife spots too. Spent a lot of time in the jungle, in the forest, in the ocean, um, mountains. But coming back to the US, everyone was under a different frequency. Not good or bad, but they were more dumbed down. They were more subservient to a program that wasn't human or God based. Colombians were subservient as well. I've met very few sovereign individuals in the entirety of my life. For most folks, if it's you, it's just going to be the man in the mirror or the woman. So there's not many. They're truly swinging from the heart, and that's it. Not kneeling to anything. But the Colombians were subservient to more of a natural order. Most in the US, even the Colombians from Colombia that were going to the US, everybody was just immediately caught in the frequency of accepting a digital matrix filter on top of what would be the more subtle filters of the collective unconscious, limiting the perception of the mind and limiting perception of self and how the world works, which bases the foundation of the individual's belief structure. Coming back to the US, it was like walking into the digital version of the matrix where you are not in a matrix. If there's a matrix in your life, it's within you. It's the filters. Or it can be a filter. You don't have to, there's no requirement anybody lives in the matrix. That's bullshit. But if somebody does, it's that they've gone far enough into certain types of programming, consciously or unconsciously, that they can no longer perceive their programming and they can no longer perceive themselves. And there's a difference between the implication and the collective unconscious and the fear and the beehive frequency that is of a normal limiting program and the digital version of that, which is literally turning off everything and just becoming a drone. Or drone's a funny word because it's beehive, those are bees. But the digital matrix is a tether to a world of spiritual embodiment acting as a robotic program. The matrix, if it's in anyone and it's digital, it's not something to fight. It's not something outside. It's based on what information the individual has allowed into themselves. That's it. It's within them. And the way it dissipates itself is get that fucking kid or get yourself or get whoever onto some land around some moving, flowing water around a big animal. Let them be scared for a real reason to be scared, not just that their neurons are turned on because they're watching some, crazy shit. Let them be scared because there's a big animal that is completely at its own whim, and the only thing they can do around that animal is to connect their true divine self with that animal and continue to practice giving instruction to the animal. Continue to practice creating who they are so they can create instruction and relationship with that animal or plants or trees instead of consuming. Digital consumption is the quickest, if not one of the quickest ways that I can think of, I'm aware of, to lead an individual into middling themselves and running away from the possibility of who they're meant to be. Middling yourself is the perfect way to avoid achieving your own greatness. And I'm not judging, anybody can do whatever they want to a certain degree. I'll defend it against myself, my family, but I don't care that those people are enjoying that, or that they're not thinking about it, or that they would be upset by hearing this. Doesn't, whatever. But I do know it to be true. It's the world I live in. I can see it easily. Everyone lives in their own world, and our cultures, our social orders, our worlds around those, and our accepted perceptions of religions and governments are worlds around those. And who protects us and who's the good guy and who's the bad guy are within those. These are worlds within worlds. And then eventually these worlds all feed into the collective unconscious and the information being fed into it. And everybody's choosing a side. It's not really about supporting their side, it's about being wary of the other side or sides. There's always the other that's attacking them. There's no better way to feed in repetition of fear than through the implication of digital information constantly. Don't do it. Don't do it. Go sit in nature. No matter how weird or how um, much of a pain it may be today for any reason, go sit in nature. Every single time you do it, you will be rewarded and you will be stronger. It's part of what you're meant to do in this experience. People spend a lot of time defending digital programming in a myriad of ways. I'm not upset with it, I'm not fighting it, but the vast majority of the points of protecting the digital programming are just talking points that aren't coming from them and they haven't really thought out. It's just easy shit to say, exactly the same as protecting their political party. Even though they know at the core, that really is bullshit. But they still want to protect it because of their fear of the other. Same as religion. They know there's deeper truths within the core of the religion or within the original purpose of the religion, but instead they mostly focus on the outside, the exoteric, the the habits of what we're supposed to do and going along with the tradition instead of the true purpose of finding you, finding me, finding what I was when I came here, what I'm meant to be. This life is an opportunity for you to serve you and grow you and lead others and give of your divine energy in a way that is beneficial to everything and be truly proud of the joy that you've accomplished and given away here. That's so easy for everyone, but everything that's not that is distraction and resistance. It's either you're living in tune with who you really are or you're not. And if you're not, I promise you, there is no amount or no uh, availability of digital consumption that's going to get you closer. There may be some synchronicities that appear, but those synchronicities are coming from you to try to get you to wake up and be you. Start being you. It's trying to go through the digital programming bullshit to slap you and get you back. Don't serve the digital world. Don't serve the deeper and deeper filters of what may be considered a matrix, or just in general filters of the collective unconscious. Don't serve those things inside you that are keeping you from looking at the issues in the nooks and crannies of you and who you really are and who you're meant to be and what you must do to go find that, go make that, and go create that and be you living now. Don't serve this future you that may appear one day based on what everybody around you says is okay. Because they're in a fucking matrix that's in them that's so deep they can't goddamn see it. And don't serve your past and the issues that may have been traumatic to you or something that you've done to someone else. This is not sophism or solipsism or nihilism or Satanism or any ism or anarchism. The truth is that everything is under your control and no one can hand you anything. It's the moment that you start to believe in yourself. Can I change my history? Of course you can. But you must be in the place where you're powerful enough that you believe that you can and that it's easy for you, and then you claim it and then you do it. If you're hoping for it, that shit will never ever happen. And if you're thinking that it's the most important thing for you to do, then you're putting it above you. It has to be that you are aware that you are doing this. And if you remain aware that you're doing it, putting your energy into digital programming, into walking into matrices and then staying there and just eventually, kind of like I did, eventually becoming aware that it's not healthy, but also not really doing the thing right away to overcome it and raise myself, but to just be a little bit frustrated by it. It will eventually wear you down because it's going to seep into those around you, it's going to seep into you. What you pay attention to grows. So if you're unconsciously paying attention to this digital matrix filter, not even if you're going out of your way to like suck it in all the time, but if it's just part of what ends up happening in your life, you will consume more and more and more. And that takes away from your process of giving your energy to this world, receiving it back from this world, and growing you. Create you. That's what you're here to do. Consumption is serving the thing. It's serving the thing that is being provided to you. So if you're consuming fruit, you're serving the tree and the farmer. Nothing good or bad about that. In fact, I honor that. If you're if you are a musician and you're um, watching videos on how to do a certain technique on the guitar, okay, you're consuming the digital technology, but you're also consuming the art of and the tutelage of the individual who's creating that guidance that created the video. Okay. What you pay attention to grows. So if you're paying attention to that, you're paying attention to the individual and the guitar work separate. And so you're growing in both of those, which is cool. You're also paying attention to the medium The medium is the message. So the technology, digital technology itself. Just be aware. Let me use this technology. Don't let it use me. Become efficient with it and move forward and get away from it. If that then leads to watching another and another or something popping up and you just happen to get used to watching 3 or 4 videos a day, just compare that to if you got out of your way and actually created with that time every day. It's not about what you would do or not do, like could you have made or not made. Was it worth your time? How much did you learn? It's not about any of that. It's about who do you become after a year of that habit. You don't become greater by consuming at that level. You do become greater by living within this world and using the you to be aware of you and creating at that level, even if it's just a few minutes a day. The best thing anybody can do within the digitalized world is look at screens less and go outside more. If you can add in with going outside an awareness of yourself and praying or meditating, you're good. You're good. What you pay attention to grows. Do you want the digital filter in your life to grow and grow and have more control over you? Or do you want to be interested in how far you can grow and start to pay more and more attention into your own growth? If you pay attention to your own growth, that too grows. When we got off that plane coming into Miami, basically everybody out on the plane, without judgment, was not interested in paying attention to their own growth at all. They were interested in diving into what felt like a theme park of the United States' program. And I felt like I was all of a sudden in a cartoon arcade that I didn't expect to go to that day. Shit was better in Colombia, I'll tell you that. Now, the last point I'll make on this is that for me, growing myself and then the little tricks that people like or we all like, I guess, is like manifesting, but we're always manifesting. It's impossible not to. That's part of how you work, how I work. But the efficiency and tricks and how to make this life more magical and creative. Well, everything is perfectly magical and everything is always creating. But to make it more enjoyable for the synchronicities and the proving of where your focus is and getting better at being you and seeing the results. So attaching cause and effect and attaching your heart to it. I find the less digital information I put in, the less I have to fight with the inside to find my focus and find my base point and find my trajectory and my purpose. For me, sitting outside nature is an easy place for me to come to the zero and keep it clear. taking in information, even if it's information on here's the top 3 ways to manifest or whatever, taking in information ends up layering onto what how much more information is already in there. So say there's 20% garbage, 20% um, like scholastic and not really useful but base statistical information, and then just 40% your personality, your family, your friends, and your standard character. If you start layering on within the other 20%, so that's 80, your other 20% is new information flying in, flying out, flying in, flying out. If you start layering on more and more manifesting information, you're just jamming in there to the top 20%, you still have all this other that you have to go through. And it's not necessarily serving what you think you're going to manifest. Manifesting is always happening. So it's about being you, becoming you, not about getting the fucking car. If you get the car, cool. But the goal is watch who you become through the process of watching you. Eventually, you will stop looking at the things of that and realize oh, it's me. It's always been me doing it. So what happens when I put this not nefarious, but what happens when I put this extremely limited and manipulative information in? I'm tethering my divine self that's doing this, that's creating everything all the time, into a world tied to others that are feeding on manipulative energy. And they don't know they're doing it either. That's a tough way to manifest what you want. Unless what you want is like it doesn't matter. Um, a more efficient way to go about it is going to be to start going within and letting go of the things that you're so attached to, including who you think you are. Releasing those perspectives and allowing yourself to sit will provide you with the opportunity to have more and more openness in that other 80% before the top 20% of new information coming in. It's more powerful to go in and begin to let go of what's in that 80%. Not because you like it or don't like it, not because it's wrong, just because you're attempting to clean out the things that aren't serving you at your highest place. How do you know it's at your highest place? You have to find out who you are at your highest place. How do you do that? What's not in your past. It's a lot closer to who you were before you came here, who you will be when you leave. Find your purpose, honor your gift, follow your bliss. Letting go. Easiest way I found to let go is connect with love, forgive everything, forgive yourself. It just happens like that. It just goes. And then you have the opportunity to kick on the imagination of your heart. You find the intention. Intention, attention. Intention, attention. Listen to your belly for the pivot. If required, don't focus on your belly, just listen. Act with friction in your body on the intention and the attention, the same spot. What you would like to manifest is already latent here. That's how you find it. You listen to the imagination of your heart, singularly, one thing at a time. You will receive joy from that process because it's internal achievement. Consuming digital information about manifesting or about whatever is literally just giving you the road signs to say, I know that you like this, but keep going this way. It's just pulling you deeper and deeper into consuming more instead of creating. It's showing you the things that you may be interested in actually doing, but it's also subtly keeping you from doing the things. It's what you pay attention to grows. Pay attention to who you actually are. And then you'll see more of you. Pay attention to programs of implied limitation in your life. You will perceive how difficult it is to actually live a life within limits. And things will seem like they get harder and harder. The truth is that you are limitless, divine, spiritual energy. And the only way you can ever be limited in any way is if you accept information that says that you are limited and that you project that out. You're always projecting energy. I suggest you focus on creating what's true in your heart instead of accepting any information that insinuates that you're limited. There's never been a moment in which you were limited. You only limited yourself because you were holding on to internal ropes of fear because you didn't believe in yourself or you didn't want to offend anyone. You are perfect love. You're greatest that there's ever and will ever be. Same as I am, same as everyone. Some shine because they make the choice. They choose the hard fork in the road and they say, not only am I going to carve out my own path, I'm going to follow my heart's path and listen to love guide me. You cannot do that while holding on to all the things in the past that are telling you that you can't do it. You can only do it when you believe it at your core. You came in here ready to believe it, knowing it to be true. The only reason you started to not believe that you are the everything that is working in connection with the creation of everything, you are the thing that everything is loving and looking to. You are the powerful energy of all creation. You got scared because everybody around you seemed like they don't believe that. I don't want to be the one that gets laughed at. I don't want to get in trouble and get slapped. Somebody told you 100 times, the world doesn't revolve around you. You're not important. You're not special. There's never been anything more important or more special than you. It's not my opinion. It's impossible. You are the perfection of all perfection. If you give that energy to the entertainment of anything, especially digital entertainment, you are promoting that grows because you are divine energy. What you focus on, you get more of. What you fear, you feed. You're perfect. Focus on you. The whole world is telling you within the collective unconscious, not the natural realm. The whole program world is telling you, hurry up, but wait, and don't be the real you. We'll entertain you with anything you want, except for you actually dedicating yourself to being the real you now. Because once you're the real you, you grow past it immediately and you don't need it anymore. I can go back to the Miami airport now. That shit doesn't faze me at all. Because I see the love in all those people. I see that it's all just an offering. It's no big deal. But most importantly, I give none of my energy to it now. It's possible for me to. It's not like I'm above it. Just I choose not to. The answer to everything in the world, in society, in all frustrations of all peoples everywhere is to choose the power of self growth in connection with love. If you truly dedicate yourself to that, you will not feed into the offerings of possible fear. And everything in this world operates off of our divine energy and attention. If you're dedicated to the self growth of you as awareness and love, then those things that are attempting to act like they're a big deal within the programs very clearly become here today, gone tomorrow offerings that will not build your frequency. They're attempting to attach themselves to your resonance to feed on your energy. What if it's you that fed on the divine energy of what you give to this world and what you receive back? This life is perfect. Everything's telling you a story everywhere you go. Listen to the very subtle story of your growth, and you will perceive more of it. Begin believing that you are limitless, and you will see the proof of it. Speak to God, love, as if you are it and you know each other. And you will find it within you, because that's who you are. I love you. Primum Voltus Interior.